Good.
Hi, John. Hello.
Good evening.
You look red. Do we still look red? You look orange. Yeah.
I mean, the overall picture is much crisper. It's a much better like image quality.
Sound thing is better than the last one we had.
Yeah.
That double echo and. Well, let's call the May 15th, 2024 Planning and Zoning Commission meeting to order. Let's do a roll call. Steve Stefanski, Joe Zofferly,
Hi. Pat Ray.
David Neiman. Meeting of alternates. You're seated. Approval of the minutes from the March 2024.
Motion to approve the minutes as submitted.
Second. All in favor? Opposed? Motion passed. Do we have any additions to the agenda?
Yes, we have a application from Tamarack. They submitted an application to expand their parking lot for, certain venue events. I think venue events only 4 times a year. And, yeah, that's basically their application for that. They submitted payment. We're still waiting for a site plan for them. So, but they wanted to get a public hearing scheduled, so.
What is the public hearing for?
For the expanded parking lot, with they just wanted to lay grass and like, cause they're clearing out trees and everything.
Are they modifying a special permit or something?
Yeah, I mean, they don't really have much in the way of special permits that I could find, but their established uses. I mean, they have sort of like 4 established uses that are all special permit or special permit-ish. You know, the event facility, the campground, the sort of private school component, it's all, you know, so they're basically expanding their operations and those are all special permit uses. So we figured it would be appropriate to have them come in for a special permit.
So there's not much we can do until we have some kind of a site plan.
Yeah, no, what she had submitted was a very rough, I mean, almost like a camp guide sort of map, like, you know, here's the parking, here's the lodge. So we wanted something a little bit more detailed. And she didn't have it ready, so.
Did she pay and did you accept the
Yeah,
application?
she filled out the form and paid the fee.
So
So it has to be a public hearing,
Yes.
even before we see it or discuss it.
Well, you just.
The uses that they're proposing, because they're in the rural residential district. Those are all special permit uses. So any adjustment to those special permits would be, or any adjustments to those uses would be a special permit by the reg.
We don't have that thing there, regs for minor. Like.
Oh, yeah, see, that would have been good if we put that in. I'll have to take a look if we actually put that in the reg.
So what do we need to do to set this up, or do we just gonna pick a day and set the meeting?
Yeah, you would want to formally, and so I'm just doing a quick word search of the zoning regulations. There is no, we don't use the word minor
Okay.
in there other than to describe children under 18. Yeah, no, any modification of existing special permit. Sorry. Applicability here. I'm going to share this on the screen.
I mean, I haven't seen it, see if it's minor, but I mean, do you think it's minor?
So I'm going to zoom in here.
First, in case it didn't do that, but
So can you guys see this?
No. No, okay. You can see that? Yeah, just.
All right, here, I'm going to make it bigger.
oh, then we can,
There you
yeah,
go.
keep going.
So right here.
Yeah, right there.
So any, including, including modifications of the existing special exception uses, unless such modifications would not change the essential character of the use and would not require the submission of a new or modified administrative zoning permit.
Haven't they already started that?
So in this case, so they've cleared trees is what they've done, and they've sort of been doing some land work.
Yeah, they brought in a bunch of mulch, yeah.
Right. They would have required some modification of the special permit if they were clearing trees within 100 feet of the campground area, because campgrounds require a 100-foot buffer of vegetation. But they're basically clearing essentially an overflow parking area and new driveway. So I suppose if it would be your determination that knocking in a new driveway and sort of expanding their informal overflow parking wouldn't change the essential character of the use and would not require an administrative zoning permit, which again, if it's just a driveway and they're not paving parking, it's essentially informal parking.
Was that overflow parking shown on an original site plan as, hey, this could become parking someday?
Taylor, you correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think we really have any special permit files at all from Tamarack.
No. Then maybe it might be good to make them go through the exercise of making a site plan so we can have one on file,
That's not a bad thing.
But is that something that we could look at the next meeting if they presented it and not have to do a formal?
Well, I mean, I will just note that, I mean, there has been a lot of questions and agita among the neighbors about the activity going out there and potential concerns about traffic impacts because the new driveway would, the current driveway is on 10 Rod Road. The new driveway would exit out onto Forge Hill. And I think there is some concern from the Forge Hill neighbors that it's going to create traffic issues.
Better have a public hearing.
Were they planning on an in one driveway, out the other?
Yes. We had talked a little bit about it today. It sounds like she's not 100%, but she wanted the new driveway onto Forge Hill to be an exit only, and possibly an exit left turn only. So that would, be exiting out towards
It's a horrible hill.
165.
It'll become a left turn only, especially when they start working on the bridge. Anyway.
Well, yeah, sure. And I mean, there really aren't any driveways, there aren't any residential properties between the 10 Rod Forge Hill intersection and where Tamarack's driveway would be. So if you directed all traffic.
There's one across the street that the only thing I can remember.
Yeah.
And passing, right?
And so at any rate, I think you probably, as per Juliet's question, are probably within your rights to waive this. I do think there's some public interest and it might be good to sort of get their plans on the record.
Yeah, we don't have a site plan.
Right. So
anyways.
I mean, you might as well get them to give you.
So, yeah. Procedurally, so I mean, I think actually without a site plan, you don't technically know if their change is minor enough to not change the essential nature of the use. Yeah. So procedurally, what you would do is formally receive the application and schedule a public hearing for one of the next two of your meetings. You basically have 65 days to open the public hearing. So in June or July.
What kind of time frame did she ask you for to get her ducks in a row?
As soon as possible.
Well, she had nothing to show you, so.
Yeah.
She had nothing. Yeah, she had nothing. Right. She had nothing to show because initially she was informed. She was not properly informed by, I don't know, whoever she was working with, that she even needed to come in for any municipal review at all. So she, went ahead and cleared the trees, went ahead and started grading everything, and doesn't seem to be aware that she needed a driveway permit, didn't seem to be aware that she needed any kind of zoning review. So, I think she's playing catch up.
What's the date of the meetings? Huh?
Yeah.
June.
So that's another thing. So while I was making the scheduled meeting, I totally forgot about Juneteenth. That's when our meeting hall in the town hall closed on that day. We can still have that meeting on that day. It's really up to you guys. We can move it to the fourth Wednesday if you guys want. Really up to you guys, so.
Rather June and July.
Me too.
With what?
I don't think I'll be here.
I'll do this in June.
Rather than July.
And maybe we should get that site plan and everything
They'll have it
going.
I mean, they'd have to.
I hope so.
They have.
I'd hate to move the day again, because we just moved from second Wednesday to the third Wednesday.
Can we move back to the second Wednesday of June?
John can't make that.
I'm not available.
That's why we moved.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you need a motion?
Yeah, ideally.
Make a motion to accept, does this application have a number?
How can we accept the application without the other information?
They submitted the application, they didn't have anything with it.
I mean,
Oh,
it's being
I
complete.
assume that this would be special permit number 124. I'll send a correction if there is one,
Oh, I see.
but we haven't done the special permit thing online yet, and that's usually what they, the number, so.
Well, I make a
That-
motion
that
to
would be-
accept special permit number 124.
Yeah.
And to schedule the public hearing for June 19th at 7 PM at the Wallington
We
Town
can't do
Hall.
the 19th, she just said.
Well, you guys can.
You can.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
we-
I'd rather keep it the same day, yeah.
Me too, yeah. Keep it steady.
All in favor?
Uh,
Opposed? Motion passed. Citizens' comments. New business, discussion of P O C D.
Wait, have the update? I've only been here 5 years.
So, oh, that, I believe that should be the discussion of what subdivision regulations?
Yeah, there is like a discussion of P O C D update, and they're on there, and I didn't know. It's all on the agenda today, I was wondering about that too, but.
I mean, sometimes we do like a 5-year.
Yeah,
I'm just following this, I don't know.
There were no.
Oh, wait, I'm sorry, Taylor, did you printed the POCD for them?
yeah. Yeah, I don't know why, I saw a discussion of P O C D, and I think when Scott called the other day. And put on there.
Well, it says discussion of P O C D update. Is
Update.
there an update?
No, I'm sorry, my recollection of my discussion with Scott is that following the update of the zoning regulations, he wanted to take a look at the subdivision regulations.
Yeah,
That
that's
would
what I
make
thought too, I don't know why I don't.
So it just got-
I don't know why.
Yeah, because it's POCD first, then you're zoning, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
but,
POCD
yeah, I don't know.
first, then zoning, then subdivision regulations.
so, okay, I apologize for the miscommunication.
Yeah.
Currently,
I don't
but
know.
we're not exactly 100% the same as our new regulations, but that for now, might work. It does work.
Yeah.
Legally, we're fine. Correct.
Yeah, there weren't very many goals, so
No.
that
That
it would have
met,
been hard to make
right.
regulations to match this.
So the next subdivision regulations,
Okay, is that on the agenda also?
yes.
Oh, okay, all right,
I'm reading in line, John, that's all.
okay. So, this is, I haven't started to dig in deeply on this. I mean, we've really only had, well, I've been with the town about, 3 years now. We've really only had one subdivision of any kind of substance on Brown Road. That was like an eight lot.
Right at the beginning of.
I-
Yep.
But there was a
There's-
conflict between your sub regs and your regular regs,
There,
that one.
wait, I'm sorry, is that a statement or a question, Juliet?
Wasn't there, what was the last one with the access off of the shared
Yeah,
drive?
we have to clean that up. There's a couple of items that I think we want to talk about a little bit. Yeah, I think shared drives, the number of lots on a shared drive, and if we want to, encourage those or discourage those. questions of open space and lot design. I know, Volantown is kind of unique in a lot of communities where, a lot of communities that have, less than 70% of their land as state forest are much more aggressive about open space and cluster subdivisions and, in trying to preserve larger tracts of land. I don't know if that's something that we even need to talk that much about, but there are a lot of communities that are moving towards a more cluster subdivision model that uses, shorter road lengths, smaller lot sizes, and larger pieces of open space to serve, both the subdivisions and the towns. So that's kind of like a philosophical question. And then questions of things like stormwater, because stormwater management standards have evolved quite a bit, as, kind of concurrent with the fact that the storms that we're getting are more frequent and more severe and have the increased possibility of creating, drainage problems in between neighbors and town roads. So it might be worth taking a look at some of our drainage and stormwater design guidelines. But those are sort of bigger philosophical questions that I think we, would like to hear some discussion about before we kind of figure out a plan of attack.
I think the reason why a discussion of POCD update is because I think Scott mentioned looking at the plan of conservation and development to go with the subdivision regulations, make sure we're in with them.
Well, if you're looking for points of discussion, for me, you live in like a prime area, and we just saw it on Brown Road. As some of these older farms maybe get sold off. Somebody takes 100 acres, 70 acres, I'll put in a subdivision, like for the open spaces, I think we gotta have something. Because if not, all those tracts of land could just be packed, because they're gonna say, oh, the rest of it's state forest. Well, I don't know if that's good or not. I'm not saying it's wrong, I look at Gallup, I live right,
But they get 10% open.
right, I'm just saying, no, we can't just exclude it, we need
No,
to
you can't
include
exclude it.
something.
Yeah.
And the drainage would be a huge issue with us, because those fields all pitched a certain, they did what they did for, well, you start throwing in paved driveways and building lots, and they're all not gonna.
No,
We have conservation subdivisions or open space subdivisions? No. Right now?
No, we don't. We don't have it. We don't have sort of a cluster design or an open space subdivision.
That's my only thought, I would have never put 2 ounces of thought into that 20 years ago. But
Yeah,
now, as you see it,
Yeah.
everybody's getting older and
yeah,
land's getting sold off, and all those are nice, clean, clear pieces of land too, nice and easy.
Too bad to the farmers, so.
I feel horrible, trust me, that's what I grew up with, I feel horrible. Some builders looking at them,
all the time.
yeah, you probably see way more up on that.
So do you want us to read the suggestions or?
Yeah, well, no, I guess, I mean, and I had thought Scott was gonna, I didn't realize Scott wasn't gonna be here, because I think he had some sort of broader philosophical thoughts about, if there's some improvements that needs to be made. But I think broadly speaking, I think probably the 3 sort of updated questions, I think, would be, how do we, if you guys have thoughts about being more, I don't know, aggressive or progressive or alternative about things like open space subdivisions, which again allows lots to be a little bit smaller and clustered and setting aside more open space, or kind of leave the model the way it is. If we want to, be a little bit more aggressive about stormwater management policies, and then questions of common drives. Do we want to encourage, the streetscape more or less the way it is, or do we want to encourage more, single point of access cul-de-sac type development, as opposed to, allowing properties to be sort of developed behind each other on common drives and things like that. it's sort of different approaches to patterns of development. And maybe I'm asking too many questions all at once. But those are some of the, if you're going to sort of overhaul as opposed to just sort of tweaking and making sure that the subdivision regulations are meet with current state law and are in harmony with the way we change zoning regulations, these are some sort of bigger questions we can ask.
Definitely need to take a look at the sidewalk section. That doesn't make any sense.
Sidewalks.
Yeah, the subparagraph A. Where it's talking about the commercial site plan review, the division reg.
Page you want to do it?
12,
Well,
Solar access.
6.3, I mean, and the whole idea of like, wow, it sounds really rural, so you don't want to end up with the sort of ridiculous sidewalks to nowhere. that
Oh,
go
I-
connect-
Yeah, well, I don't think that's
Yeah.
interesting. I just, Juliet, I hadn't read that closely. I'm not sure that's an
A,
enforceable
as well.
I'm not sure that's an enforceable regulation.
No. I
It
don't
seems
think
to apply a, zoning site plan requirement within the subdivision regulations when someone wouldn't necessarily be subdividing.
Exactly, it's sort of weird that, like, I don't know, you could go with something else, but. Or maybe it was just taken from zoning and brought over, I don't know.
Yeah.
And then, sidewalks, I would say, unless the commission determines, not that it's detrimental to public safety, but it's just unreasonable. I mean, it's not gonna do anything, if you have a 4-lot subdivision that happens to have a road.
Yeah.
Sidewalk coming out to a road that doesn't have a sidewalk, what is the point?
the last one I can remember that got put in was yours.
We don't have sidewalk.
No, I know, we waived it, but that's what brought up the whole question about sidewalk. I think it was one of the last roads that got put in,
Down there, Rachel Lane.
Rachel Lane.
Does that one have,
No, there's no sidewalk, but there must have been a discussion because it went
Yeah,
down and it
it-
cul-de-sacs.
Well, when he first came, he wanted it in, around, he building a pond, which never happened. And then back around, it was gonna be a big loop and it was many, many, many houses. And then it shrank from there, but when he first came in, so I know the question about sidewalks came up at that point after the fact.
you're thinking about just internal to the subdivision?
If needed,
Yeah.
I think they just wanted something on there in case we get a giant one with 200-300 acres, which new roads have to get put in and things, what would you would want?
Can we have,
Because that is
a
a
waiver on?
possibility in Bountiful.
I suppose we could waive that one too.
Right, you can waive anything.
I just. it's
But it does
very-
protect you
unless
if
it-
somebody wants to drop a 100
Correct.
house. Yeah,
Correct.
Yeah, I was just saying, add something in addition to it being detrimental to public safety.
Right, yeah, oh, 100%,
Or
100%.
not practical.
Unfortunately, a lot of the regulations have come about because of this happened or that happened or that happened.
Yeah, I'm wondering, if there's no sidewalk and you've got a bunch of houses in the cul-de-sac. And these are new houses, so there's gonna be young kids and everything, it's gonna have to go out and meet the bus. So what's that mean? They're gonna be walking on the road to come down to meet the bus?
Oh,
or the buses have to go down the road.
Yeah,
it's a pretty, you've got a pretty-
I think that some of those rules have changed, don't they have, it's either an assigned bus stop or they have to be dropped off at the residence.
correct.
Yeah, they're saying 40-foot paved, because otherwise.
Right.
I mean, sometimes rural towns don't want sidewalks. They want that.
When they did that in Gales Ferry, it kind of was weird, they just stopped.
Yeah,
I was like,
I thought it's still, I mean, if you're a school or something.
Ours did too, and it was just because of the grant one, we had X amount of money for the sidewalks we have currently.
but they're here where they're,
Yes,
it does make sense.
it makes sense.
Smaller roads,
Yeah,
traffic, a
100%.
lot of houses, yeah.
Yep.
I don't see one on Brown
No.
Road up there with those 8 houses, like,
No, there's a couple that.
Nope.
Yeah. Well, do you want to do conservation subdivisions or cluster subdivisions, or whatever you want to call them?
No, but I mean, I think we should definitely go through this, subdivision regulations and kind of similar to the way we did, this is my thought. The zoning regulations, a couple sections at a time, go through them, gives us a chance to read it. John has thoughts, you have thoughts, I have thoughts, we put together and then we hash it out. Then next section. I mean, it's gotta get,
Yeah, for him to get you an example of one, if it was
yeah,
in the realm of possibilities for.
right, and how many do we want, and what's the schedule, we're not, and then. Big rush, before I get started.
These are pretty,
We're outdated.
they're pretty boilerplate, I mean, there's nothing,
Yeah,
you have nothing,
So I guess
you don't even have anything about driveways and shit.
it's something I thought of, did any of this reference our regulations, we just like, is there any reference in here, just,
I'm
that
sure
probably aren't the
something,
same now,
correct,
right?
I haven't seen any yet,
but, yeah, we all have to look now.
Yeah, exactly.
and check the wetlands referral language.
Right.
Because if it, you know, because there's that, whatever new laws have come out, but if an application involves land regulated as an inland wetland.
Mhm.
and
They have to go to in the wetland first.
No, I know, but what is the word involved? Is
Yeah.
that activity within a buffer or wetlands, or just wetland being on the property somewhere?
In the buffer.
That word involved is.
Well, no, I think that actually is probably a decent way of saying it.
is that
Because
involved?
commissions, wetlands commissions have sort of more expansive authority than just their, their standard upland review area. Like, if there's a vernal pool 400 feet away and there's reason to believe that development, could damage that, they can assert authority over it. So.
I know, but you know how if it's no activity is shown within the wetlands or upland review area now, it doesn't necessarily go to wetland. Unless your language is nicely vague like this, but
Yeah.
more in the wetlands regs, but I just want to make sure we weren't,
Or we.
that we match with the
They all
wetlands
have to
regs,
be
okay?
reviewed
Right,
by-
right.
Period.
But now you can't.
No.
Some of them don't go, no.
We can't make it that way though.
Wetlands.
Wait, what's the question?
If we just made it that any subdivision needed to go before the wetlands, so they could review it, like you said, vernal pool, something out of the ordinary.
Actually, usually with wetlands, if there are wetlands on the property for subdivision, it would go.
Would.
Yeah.
That's probably what this is about. And if you don't have a lot of zoning stuff in there. When were these updated last?
When were they?
2011.
2011?
I just thought one is at 3:15:01, I'm like.
I thought, well, that's at 87,
Oh,
but you remember the. Yeah, it's the second 80.
So, I mean, yeah. It's good. So you each have your copy and you can kind of page through. If you want, I could forward out just a couple of questions to sort of prepare to discuss for next month. If we want to, just talk about getting where people stand on, open space, stormwater, common driveways, stuff like that.
Okay, place to start. Yeah.
Yep, where are the, where is the?
Page 13. I think. Open space recreation.
Self driveway?
Where, yeah. It's sort of guided broadly by the statute, which is, a 10% set aside for parks, playgrounds, and open spaces, or not less than 1 acre per 20 lots. Or also the fee in lieu option.
No, I meant driveway, where are the driveways?
What's that?
Driveways, where are the driveways?
Oh,
Now,
yeah, where was that?
because there was something in there that didn't match the zoning, right? That's what I was, yeah.
Yeah. let's see.
Or maybe I was just thinking all lots shall front on a street. Versus the zoning reg that said something about sharing driveways. But when you create a lot, it has to be, there has to be frontage on the street, whether it's a rear lot, flag frontage. That's what it was.
No, I'm looking at 512 on page 9.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that, yeah, that second section.
That's an existing one.
Not having frontage on an existing street may be divided. So that's essentially an existing interior lot.
Right,
Could
and
be
then,
divided.
then I think something in your, I don't know, somewhere in the zoning regs, it must say then all lots have to have frontage on the street. But there was some conflict there.
Yeah, no, there was a conflict. You're right. So this allows three properties on essentially a common driveway to a road through an easement.
That's a bad idea. I hope it should say something like, you know, the rear lot, the farthest lot back has to own that strip coming out,
Oh, uh-huh.
because Eversource won't even touch it. You know, I mean, it's harder, but it gets too messy otherwise. Somebody's gotta own it. The one who's farthest back should own it.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. And then I suppose, and you know, what another, I mean, and we can go sort of section by section, but then there's also, you know, questions of street standards. If, you know, if we want to allow narrower streets or required, like, yeah, actually, if you look at section 6, all new streets shall have a minimum right-of-way width of 50 feet, which shall be deeded. The paved wearing surface shall be 30 feet. That's an extraordinarily wide road.
That's 40 feet.
Dead end street, of which,
Yeah,
oh, that's the closed end. That's the cul-de-sac or the turnaround.
right. So that's really wide. Although my original mistake was 50-foot paved, the whole thing was paved.
You gotta remember buses
Which
and
was awesome.
trucks and delivery.
Yeah,
But you can, you know, there are hammerhead turnarounds and things like that also, but
No,
but
it's not.
I mean, a 30-foot wide,
Oh, yeah.
wide road.
Yeah,
I'd be surprised if you had any 30 feet roads in town.
North Bennington needs to require granite curving. Now much that costs. Yeah. And you don't cap the length of a cul-de-sac. Some towns do based on length of a fire hose or,
Mm.
you know, if there's a fire hydrant on the main street that the cul-de-sac therefore couldn't be,
We don't have fire hydrants.
you don't have any, right?
no,
They got a Eagle Line tanker.
Well, we don't have a length requirement, but there is all proposed streets shall connect with one or more. But subdivisions containing more than 20 residential lots shall be accessible from at least 2 directions. So there is that requirement that if it's a big enough subdivision, it you know, it has to.
has to be a through street.
that
Yeah.
protects you a little bit.
Or sometimes the fire department wants a emergency access, it's not really
Egress.
a public access.
Yeah, I saw that with the fire pond in there too, so.
I don't know what that's in here.
Yeah,
Okay, then-
yep. Solar access.
It's in there, I never, and monumentation. Like the monument, and
That's a report.
I know. Let's take the developer by the hand, they put my finger on it.
So it's, I mean, it's a small enough document. What I would propose maybe is, we could forward some big questions, but it's a small enough document that if we took, you know, a couple of sections and I could basically, in advance of each meeting, take each section and kind of highlight sections where we want to raise questions, you know, are they like, do we want to increase or decrease this requirement? Do we want to rethink this definition? And I think we could probably go through it that way, over a couple of months.
I think that's a
Yeah,
good idea.
100%.
I'll read through the P O C D and pick out anything that looks like it's related to. Subdivision, that could be subdivision right.
So why don't we say, for next month, I'll do an annotated markup of the first three sections. Which would be relatively straightforward. We can basically, you know, update references, verify that we need to you know, have the same language for referrals, filing, that kind of stuff, and work from there.
Sounds good to me.
Well,
Maybe smaller lots.
older business, we have any? So we'll go to correspondence and announcements, and I'm assuming that's what these are.
Yeah.
Town of Sterling. In accordance with Connecticut General Statute 8-7D. F. Sterling Planning and Zoning Commission notifies you that the following application is scheduled for public hearing on Monday, May 13th. Well, got this right on time. Guess that doesn't matter. It's a commercial parking lot zoning application, Bailey Road.
Yeah, it's a big parking lot in association with sort of a horse property that's just up across the town line, up Bailey Road.
Are they having horse shows or something?
Yeah.
Maybe the
Yeah.
field at the top of Fall Creek.
Guess we missed it anyway, so it's cool.
Yeah, it's new owners, I think, last year.
Oh, really?
He's done a ton of work.
Hey, might as well skip the next one, because that already happened too.
Okay, great. Well, it looks like our correspondence is,
The town please don't lie, text them.
that sounds like we already did this.
It doesn't do like every day. I didn't know.
So ZEO and planner report is next.
Okay, we've had a couple of minor enforcement matters, a couple of basically accumulations of junk and debris, Forge Hill, Congdon, and what's 49, Econ Kill.
Yeah.
And gotten some response that people are either going to be selling and they'll start cleaning it up, or they're, you know, going to be taking steps. So we've gotten good response on those. We talked about Tamarack. There's been a lot of back and forth with the folks from Tamarack. Taylor, are there other zoning enforcement matters that we've been dealing with?
Oh, in the trailer, but we took care of that. I got
Oh,
it.
yeah.
Yeah.
A guy, yeah, there was a gentleman who was building a little footbridge over a small stream that he owns, and wanted to basically use a deconstructed trailer chassis as his bridge. And so he's deconstructing the trailer and kind of storing the debris along the road, which we asked him to please not. So he's cleaning that up. And from a planning standpoint, we've been moving forward with a bunch of grants. We're in negotiations, contract negotiations with the contractor who's going to be designing and installing the playscape behind you guys, out in the field. hopefully we'll get the go-ahead from our attorney on the contract, and that will hopefully be constructed, by late summer, early fall. We put out an RFP for the sidewalk design down Main Street and Beach Pond Road, basically between the package store and the plaza. And that there's a site walk for that in 2 weeks. If you have any civil engineering friends interested in designing a project for us. And
What's,
we'll-
what's going on with the flooding of that restaurant park property? Have you noticed the restaurant that closed again?
Yeah, that always has been.
But I mean,
entire
that
life.
water has been there,
Yeah, my entire life.
I mean,
The left side of that whole thing
down.
is always,
but it's more so than I've ever seen it. It isn't going away. Like what changed? Like, 'cause
At town-
it'll never get to be developed.
right across from the school, John, the little restaurant.
It's next to the package.
Oh, there's
Yeah.
flooding?
It's
It's
parking
always-
lot gets wet,
Look to
but
the
this
left.
time it's standing water still. I mean, well after the storms,
They keep changing hands, I can't.
but something's blocked up that it's not draining.
Um,
Cause you can see the well sticking out into
so
It's always closed.
this might be a health department issue, John.
this time.
If I remember correctly, the septic system in Leachfield is under that pond.
And that's nice. And it's well, cause you can see the well there.
Yeah, that's not ideal.
No, we shouldn't open it.
And the restaurant goes into there, and I believe the house who owns.
On Church, on Church Street,
Church
they
Street.
probably, yeah.
Almost like
Yeah,
it's
'cause that's one
dammed
property.
up, though.
Correct.
That is a health department thing, but we'll follow, Taylor, we can follow up with Chris from Monkus.
Yeah,
I mean, if it's supposed to empty out that one side, it almost looks like it's built up there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
used to
it-
smoke it.
yeah, what you,
Yeah, it did, right, yeah.
I just know it didn't go down the time.
like, probably.
Sorry to interrupt. In my mind, I was going down the street visually.
So with that sidewalk that's gonna run down to the store, is there any eminent domain that has to happen to?
Shouldn't be. I think the state has a pretty decent sized right of way that we can work within.
I'm just waiting for that complaint.
Let's go complain.
It's possible, I think it's possible, although we'll have to check who owns the stream, Dennison Brook. Because we're gonna be expanding, we're running what's that?
There's a house directly across from Two Brothers, which isn't Two Brothers anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's an apartment place. There's a blue house that's on the top of the hill. The stone wall literally is 1 foot off of Route 49, right at the junction right there. So yeah, you're gonna have an issue there with the sidewalk and reconstruction of that entire wall if you have to do it, so.
Way across from, on,
Right, kitty corner from the mobile station.
okay. Yeah, hold on, let me bring this up. Yeah, I would suspect, I know that there's some tight lots over there, that we may have to be looking at
It's the wall itself.
a retaining or like an adjustment to the retaining.
Yeah, I'm sorry, never think the, I
Yeah.
saw the
It's
market,
about a foot from the road, if I remember right, maybe 2.
about 2 feet off the market, but.
So is this where we're talking? Can you see the screen?
Yeah, one.
I know it is. I know it is.
So
Well,
all the-
I know the state,
Yeah,
that house predates.
3,000.
that's the one right there.
Yeah.
198.
So is it, which one is it, 198, right? Or this one right here, lot 6?
I
Yeah.
think it's that one, yeah.
Maybe drop a little root on there?
Like, can you see the wall?
So coming around the corner, is that what we're talking about?
Oh,
To the right where the driveway is. Oh, it's further than I thought.
Up here?
Yeah,
So, yeah, you can see the wall right here.
your mic.
These are not, this
So then
is
they
not,
construct the
yeah, this is,
Oh, I know.
it's not exact.
Like
The
going
survey is
away.
not exact, but this looks like it's all within the state right away.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we'll, have to be sensitive to people's front yards and any walls. So we would have to if we had to reinforce a retaining wall, that would be part of the
So
design.
what's the plan down in town then? The sidewalk comes in front of the school.
So we're leaving, we're not touching that.
Side of the road.
We're not touching the sidewalk on the north side of the road. We're adding sidewalk from, here's the package store. We're adding sidewalk on the south side of the road.
You're not gonna impact any of those people's property right there where your cursor is? Nope, yeah, up the road a little bit more, cause there's not a ton of property on those houses.
I mean, they're relatively speaking to other houses in town, they're closer to the road, but there's a substantial amount of space in between the front yard of the house and, we're talking about a 5-foot sidewalk.
Right. What's that?
Talking about 5 foot.
5 foot time.
But there's,
That means you
Again-
need to build it, that's where you're encroaching. I'm just waiting for the,
yeah, and I mean, we'll have to make sure we meet with the property owners to understand what the project is, and unfortunately, to in many cases help them understand that what they see as their front yard is not necessarily their land.
Was a fun discussion.
Yeah,
they have to take care of it though and everything else, right?
Yeah.
State doesn't come in and plow my driveway.
right.
Actually, that's one thing I don't think this town has, is that you're supposed to take care of the snow removal on the sidewalk in front of your house.
Yeah, we don't have a shoveling, we don't have a shoveling ordinance.
Are we gonna put that in then, if we're gonna be putting in on sidewalks?
Just out of curiosity, why are they
town
putting
would
a
do that.
sidewalk on the other side of the street if there's already one? And why are we adding if there's already sidewalks on the opposite side? Just curious.
Just for connectivity and for fewer crossings of Main Street or Beach Pond.
Hmm.
Where are they gonna
Ultimately,
cross?
I mean, and ultimately, we're going to be looking to, we had other grants to connect Church Street Church Street sidewalks around to Main, as well as down Pendleton Hill a little bit to pick up some of the development that's happening there. It's, there's a sort of a broader sidewalk network that we're working on completing for the whole village.
So my question, I guess where I was leading to is where are we crossing over? Because you're gonna hit the triangle. And you have to get to the right-hand side now to get to the sidewalk to get to Town Pizza and cross the bridge is gonna go in. Where's the safe crossing gonna be?
Right, so there's going to be, there's going to be sidewalks through here. And then there will be a crossing at Beachdale.
But you're saying there's gonna be a crossing at 165 right there too?
Correct, there's a crossing of Main Street.
No, I'm- Yeah, but I'm saying if you're coming from the package store,
Yep.
walking down the sidewalk.
Yep.
You have to cross
That intersection.
165 right there. Is there a light going in there?
No. There'll be it's extremely unlikely. There'll be a crosswalk with signs.
Right there, I'm not as worried about as back to your left, where you're gonna come up from downtown and keep going to Town Pizza.
Trying.
The
Oh,
triangle,
right here.
yeah, that's deadly.
Oh, okay.
People flying down from Rhode Island, turn at 50 miles an hour.
Nobody's.
I don't care what you put there unless it's a light.
Tell me about it. They are
DOT
flying.
has come here twice. to
So
talk
that's, yeah,
Using that cut across as the main entrance, making that triangle smaller, getting rid of it completely, so that you have to pull out and face to look up and down, which would be safer and a light, but nothing has happened, and I'm probably 20, so.
That would eliminate
Oh,
this
right.
issue.
well, so, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All of this design is happening in the state right of way. And so state approvals are going to be a critical part of
Yeah.
the plan.
So this could still get brought up, okay?
Yeah, it could be.
Because you're taking your life in your hands. If you try to cross that double
Yeah.
at an angle,
Sure. Sure.
especially now, it's starting to pick up now until the end of fall. so-
we'll do a steer, I think.
Yeah, go play kick over.
Anytime you get a depth on that road, then this comes up, if we need a light there and DOT comes and blah, 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 but it hasn't hit the threshold for DOT yet, to put it in.
Yeah.
We need more dead people.
Are you,
That's the way DOT
We're
works.
about to run them out there.
That's how DOT works.
Yeah.
are you
Right.
still planning that bridge across from Town Pizza to Bronson's? Or are you eliminating that one?
There's not, we may look at a crosswalk over here. I'm not sure yet. Where there's gonna be a pedestrian bridge alongside the brook here because we don't have enough width on the road itself. So there will be, the sidewalk will come up here, come off the road, have a pedestrian bridge across the stream, and then come and meet the sidewalk back over here.
But not
but-
across the street.
No.
But we're not proposing any sidewalk on the north side of this part of Beach Pond.
Okay.
We may look at a possible pedestrian crossing to get to Bronson's, but that's sort of to be determined.
If any place there should be a light, it should be right there. There are more accidents there.
Yeah. Do you have to get the Army Corps involved, put this bridge in?
It's unlikely.
Walkway.
But,
That's a legit question.
well, I just, because we're talking about it with the other bridge.
Yeah, no, it's my anticipation is that the impact on the wetlands will be less than 5,000 square feet. So that would not need Army Corps.
Benches, go fishing?
Yeah, they should put some benches up.
Those deep.
Yeah.
So that's the somewhat extended planner report.
Yes,
Just for the board note, just to let you guys know, as far as I know, make sure I'm correct on this one, my guess. DEP's, conservation officers are now going to be able to deal with the folks on Rhode Island side.
yeah, they put the thing over, I saw that, they're still waiting for approval, so, right?
Rhode Island is able to deal with.
Correct.
Did they sign it? Did they approve it?
What do you mean?
Yeah, so
So you have two
did,
different
okay.
states on the same body of water.
Yeah.
Who has jurisdiction over what boat from what state and so forth and so on, as far as fishing regulations, and more importantly, boating regulations, because our biggest problem in Bonnetown is coming from Rhode Island, because they're dropping their boats over there and then causing problems.
Big problem.
And our guys can't touch them, because it's Connecticut versus Rhode Island, so that's a very big plus.
Problem is, nobody.
I saw that it got approved and went over to Rhode Island, I hadn't heard it got approved over there yet. so. Awesome. About time.
Everybody down this way, in Elmwood.
Well,
Make a motion to adjourn?
Do we have a plan on report?
yep, that was it, that was the extended planner report. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
750 here.